Morning. Hey there, how y'all doing? It's about 6:47 and I'm about to hit the trail. I'm down around Daleville and I'm hiking up to Montvale today. It's about 15 miles. It's still dark, as you can see, so I got the headlamp on. But the sun should come up pretty soon. And spent the night at Stanimals last night, drove down here. That was a pretty good stay, and now I'm gonna get after it. I'll update you more from the trail once the sun comes up. So, thought I'd capture the sign. I'm not actually 1/3 of the way to Katahdin myself because I'm section hiking a little bit out of order. About 20% done with the trail, and hopefully by the end of this week it'll be more like somewhere between 25 and 30% done. First mile plus out of Daleville has been pretty good trail, really well blazed. The sun's up now, you can see. I was able to take my headlamp off a minute ago. And so far north out of Daleville, the trail parallels and even crosses under at one point the U.S. highway. So it's scenic and it's back in the woods, except for one short road walk, but it's not being out in the quiet wilderness. This is my second footbridge of the day, and I am getting to hike through a little bit of fall color, as you can see, some yellows anyway. I'm slack packing today, so I'm not carrying a lot of weight, and I think 3 liters might last me the whole 15.5 miles. So I'm almost 2 miles in, and it's been not quite an hour, and I reached a little bit of a bald. The sun has come up. I've seen 4 or 5 more deer now. Fullhardt knob is where I'm headed. There's a shelter near there. That'll be about 5 miles in for the day. Be my first break point. Here's the first deer that's paused long enough for me to get a picture of. He's a buck. Looks like about 4 points on him. Well, I'm finally getting to see some fall color change as I do this climb, especially up now where there are some oaks and some maples. I anticipate that as I continue to ascend, I'll see more and more color like I have right here. So on just a little over 2 hours into the day, I'm going 5+ miles. This is my first shelter, so I'm going to take a little tack off break here, tighten my shoes up, have a little bit of a snack. It's 1/10 of a mile off the M.Y.T.H. It's called the Fullhardt knob shelter. Pretty decent. Here is the cistern. It's got locks on everything, so I'm not sure how it is you would get water out of that. So here is how you get water out of the cistern, which is just up the hill from this spot. There's a little blue blaze behind the shelter, and there's a pump right here. So you open that handle up. So I'll open that up and we'll see what that water looks like. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Time for a break and a snack though. I have finished up with my break, and I didn't need to use the privy or get any water. So I just had a snack, adjusted my shoes, tightened up a little bit. I'm wearing these new Ultra Lone Peak 9 Pluses. They're 0 drop, and I've never worn 0 drop shoes before. So it's a little bit of a different feeling. So far I like them, but it is the case that I had to tighten them up because they want to slide around on my foot a little bit more. Supposedly the benefit of the Ultras is that you land more on the pad of your heel instead of the tip of it, the corner of it. And it feels like that's what's happening today. So I don't know, I hope that is it, because I've had a little bit of a plantar issue, not bad historically. So hopefully this solves that a little bit. It does feel like I'm walking more with the arch and the ball of my foot, not so much landing on my heel also. So I brought a tripod this week so I can maybe shoot myself a little bit. I don't like being on camera a lot, as you might have noticed, but I thought it might help add some perspective. And in particular, you can see some of the colors behind me. Now that I'm up at altitude, there's a lot of tree color change, so that's nice. It's been kind of an aesthetically pleasing, pretty kind of a walk today. It's nice. The whole hike today, I misstated this earlier, is 4,000 feet of ascending and about 2,500 feet of descending. And as of right now, I've done almost half of that ascent is already done in the first 5 miles. So I have about 10 miles left. It's only 9:30. I'm carrying my mama's ashes again on this trip. I thought these sites in Virginia might be things that she would like to have seen, but she never really was much of a off-track hiker, but they were the kind of things she liked in the Smokies. So whenever I get to a nice viewpoint, like back at that shelter, she and I have a little conversation, and I leave behind a little bit of her carbon and hope that her spirit enjoys that a little bit. So. So here I am, heading north. Now I think I've come off of the last descent, and I'm going to head back uphill just a little bit. In fact, when I stopped for my break, I actually got a little bit chilly, and I didn't bring a jacket of any kind with me today. So for the rest of these section hikes, I'll bring either my puffy or my raincoat. Note, I just met my first Sobo, actually a flip-flopper, who was finishing up the southbound part of her through hike, named Mama Turtle, I think. My pace does seem to have slowed down a little bit on this segment, and I know I stopped and chatted with Mama Turtle for a little while, but not for that long really. So, and this section is downhill also. So I think I need to eat a little bit, get some calories in me, and hydrate. It's 12:30. I have reached my second shelter of the day. It's 11.2 or 11.3 miles into my 15-mile day. This is called the Wilson Creek Shelter. And again, a picnic table out front. Fire pit. Probably accommodates 10 or 12. And
Tried to camel up and drink a whole bunch of water. This last section really kind of took it out of me a little bit. It's a pretty view from up here though, in terms of leaf change and stuff like that. So I'm at the Taylor Mountain Overlook. I'm 14.4 miles into my day. I have 1.1 mile left and an hour to my pickup, so I should be in good shape. There's somebody else here. So. It's a beautiful overlook on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I kind of slowed down the last mile and a half or two because I knew I was running a little ahead of schedule, but also for note to other hikers, the section between Black Horse Gap and Montvale is very much more rocky than the section south of that. So it reminded me a little bit of some parts of Maryland. And I tripped a couple of times. I didn't fall, but I had to slow down in part to be very careful about foot placement. It looks a lot like this. A lot of really handsome old boulders sticking up out of the ground on one side or the other of the trail, and then the trail is also made up of this very unforgiving granite that doesn't move and is often laid at weird angles, or there'll be some sticking up at like a sharp knife's edge right in the middle of the trail. Just all kinds of things you have to look down for. I listened to a book on tape today using a pair of JBL wireless headphones. It's a story of another hiker's trip up the PCT years ago. So I'm listening to that as a hike, and that's worked out really well. I got to this really rock scrambly section where I had to quit listening to it because I can't focus on the book and also focus on not tripping all over all these rocks. I'm in my new shoes, my Ultra Lone Peaks, the 9 pluses, and so far I'm liking them. They do feel different. I can feel the ground much more. So it's not like being barefoot, but the shoe feels like it goes more where I want it to, or allows my foot to adapt to it and to the ground. That piece of pavement up ahead is the parking lot, I believe, where I am to be picked up. Looks like there might even be a little picnic table I can sit here in the shade at and wait. So that will be nice. Once I got to this section along the Blue Ridge Parkway, which I'm hiking right next to, there have been some really nice views on and off whenever the tree line breaks up. And this parking area is no exception. Blue Ridge Parkway is partly open, but not too many people out today. And sure enough, this is the view from Montvale. And I'm here 15 or 20 minutes ahead of my ride. So, they'll be dropping me off here tomorrow again, and I can see the AT sign up there, which I'll be continuing on tomorrow. Today I hiked 15.5 miles from Daleville to Montvale Viewpoint on Skyline Drive. It's 15.5 miles. I left at about 6:45 this morning in the dark, and I finished at about 3:15 in the afternoon, so that I have it on the record. High points of the day were probably, I did meet 2 other hikers. That's all. Both women who were southbound, one doing a section hike who was through hike the AT 3 times with her husband, and the other one a woman who's working on a flip-flop hike. I just saw a great big hawk go by. Something else. So it's been a nice quiet day. A good day of hiking. I forgot my water filter like an idiot. So I had 3 liters of water, so that was enough for 15 miles, but it was just enough. I made pretty good time. I'm not too tired right now. Again, it's only 3 o'clock. If I were just pitching a tent instead of slack packing the day, I would probably hike another couple of hours before I pitched a tent. So it's been a pretty good day overall. I'm going to go back and have some ramen and some other stuff at the hostel and take a shower and clean up. Still toying with the idea about what to do at the end of the hike. I'm not sure I can do 22-mile days and 19-mile days even slack packing it. I'm going to have to think about that a minute, but I have 2 more days of 13 and 14 miles, so shorter than today, before I get to the 22-mile day. So I have some time to think about this. So I'll be doing some thinking about that this evening.